Good day, world. Welcome to Be in the Moment. Today we have a very special guest, Sir Jimmie of Bitcoin himself, miner, gamer, business mogul of Atlanta, Georgia. So, Jimmie, welcome to Be in the Moment right now.
Thank you, Rory. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, how can people follow you on Twitter?
On Twitter, I am Jimmie Bitcoin, just simple Jimmie Bitcoin on Twitter, and yeah, that's my moniker on there. And I guess on Twitch, I am the BitcoinKang with a Kang, BitcoinKang. But everywhere else is Jimmie Bitcoin. On Inment, it's Jimmie Bitcoin. Uh, you know, but Stony, not Stony, but Jimmie Bitcoin is my Twitter name. Yeah. Sorry about
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Jimmie Bitcoin. So I follow you and get the latest with Gorilla Pool, the mining team, as well as just news in general. I know I saw your post last week. It was from bitcoin.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about that sleuth that had discovered one of the original
Original
versions of
versions of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin code.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah, it was. Yeah, found that to be pretty interesting. Usually when I find things of that nature, I'm always willing to share it. I figure the BSV community. We're all in this together. So the more people who, you know, the no more people we reach, the more people, the better it is for the community. You know? But yeah, what did you think of the code? I didn't. I'm not really that technical on the technical side of the code, but you know, I'm sure that the BTCers are going to find something to nitpick about how Craig couldn't have wrote it or blah blah blah. They'll put something to it, that spin it. But that's what they
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yeah. They're like DJs with all the spinning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think the good part from the article that I took away was the reference to all these original opcodes.
Hmm.
So I thought that was a good shout out to remind everybody this functionality was baked within this original version.
And from that, I actually learned that that's one of the things that Lightning Network, what it doesn't have. Apparently they don't record any transactions, as far as identities or things of that nature. And in this economy, in this day and age, and what we're moving forward, I don't see how that's viable, anywhere. But yeah, the opcodes, that was a major part of the a good meaty part of the article. And
Right.
reminding everybody that, hey, these are vital components of Bitcoin, and we definitely need them. And the anonymity side of things isn't, that's not going to fly in this world. You know,
Exactly. Yes. So I agree. The anonymity is just um, kind of a narrative that pushed its way in
hmm
to the scene, and yeah, it left a big impression on many people's mindsets.
and I get it. I mean, I used to have an anarchist mindset, 20 years ago, and I get it. People, they don't want to be tracked or traced, but the reality of it is that it's too late for that. you know, with this geo tracking and everything else that they have with these phones, and sooner or later they'll be pinging NFTs, which are with the AR type of, AR NFTs. You walk down the street and they'll be pinging your device. There's not going to be no way around this. So anonymity it's a dream that, that anarchists are clinging to. Privacy is a different thing, but anonymity, no,
Mhm.
that's not going to fly.
Oh, yes. So, a new friend I made in Miami back in April was
Mm-hmm.
Nightmare K-Hawk. And he is big on the privacy coins. He is a real advocate for this concept. He likes to call them freedom coins. And I'm a big advocate for transparency. I love the thought of having a transparent system. And
Yes, it keeps everything honest. If we can see what you've done and whatnot, it keeps things simple and honest, keeps the corruption and things of that nature, I believe, out of society. And even if you do decide to do something, that's corrupt or illegal, there's no way around it. You will be, traced and tracked and brought to justice. You know? So
Yeah.
transparency is a big part of me too. That's one of the reasons why I love BSV. It's if it's what I imagine what the world would embrace, everything will be on chain. Everything will, have a hash, and we'll be able to cross check it and verify it.
Mm-hmm. It'll be like a massive bibliography.
Yeah, it'd be crazy. Can you imagine, 100 years from now, you still have all this data on chain that people could look up and see what was going on 100 years, ago, and it's still there, floating on chain. That's going to be a pretty cool world to live in, I believe.
Yes, that is such a great point because then historians, that's a great resource for them,
Yeah.
just for everyday people to be
Just
able to
imagine like now we
fact
have
check, like, oh, grandma, grandpa, they were over here doing this.
yeah,
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 so
that's
I
why
love
it's
that.
vital, post your pictures on, in Mint, get them on chain. So, your grandparents can, your grandchildren, great grandchildren can like, oh, look at Grandma Rory, look at her. Look how pretty she
She
was.
was wearing a wig.
Yeah.
Okay, over here, purple wig. Yeah. No, I've gotten into wigs lately. And
Really?
so, yeah, I want to incorporate them more into my podcasts and everything. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Man,
no,
I installed Toupee, so I know what you're talking about, man. I've
do
been, yeah,
you?
yeah. So you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised
Wow.
who's wearing a toupee these days. Hollywood, everything. As soon as I can't. I'm not gonna say it on here, but there's a bunch of Hollywood folks who wear them. It's there's no way guys in their 50s have that type of volume and in their
Hmm.
hair. There's no way. If you see a lot of volume, that's the telltale sign that it's probably a toupee that they're wearing. But yeah, man, wigs are cool. I even thought about, putting me a wig on. A dreadlock wig or something. I because I want to, boost business, even though I don't need a wig,
Right.
but it's just something to where I could do and show my clients, hey man, I do these, but it's coming along. But yeah, wigs are they're very popular, man, and they're getting expensive too. They're getting really expensive. You can run you a couple $100 buying a good one.
Oh, really? Well, they are wigging out. Yeah. I was up at Eddie's Trick Shop, in Marietta Square.
Yeah,
And
I love
my
that.
friend, yeah, it's classic,
Yeah,
classic old like magic trick shop
reminds
costume.
me of the Pee Wee Herman. Remember Pee Wee Herman?
I do. I
The
used to watch that show.
the trick show in the movie. They had the where he had his bike stolen. That's where he was at. He was in the magic store. That's what it reminds me of. I get that feel like that when I walk in there. It's really, you know 80s type of, nostalgic, really, vintage looking.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got all the latest props now for Halloween
Yeah.
and even masks. So you can go in and try everything on. And yeah, I had a friend, we went in there. She was into the whole Scooby Doo ladies wigs, and then
Mhm.
I was all into like the purple bangs and all of that. So
Mhm.
anyway, I think cosplay and all of this is really a lot of fun. So
Mhm.
even if you don't need a wig, it's just fun to play,
Yeah.
dress up.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like when me putting on one, I thought about, there's a bunch of weird ideas I had, but yeah, a few wigs of, well, not wigs, but I guess, toupees and things like that. But, I used to do a show back in 2019, 2009, where we would do sketch comedy. So, I had a bunch of Afro wigs and shag wigs and things of that nature.
Yes.
It's really fun. We did it for 3 years straight on, on YouTube, The Angry Black Males.
Did you?
Yeah.
No way. I've got to look you up. So
Yeah.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Do you know that Desi Banks? He
Mm,
does a lot of comedy on YouTube.
the name sounds
He's
familiar.
from Atlanta. Desi Banks.
I would have to see him, but the name sounds familiar. It sounds like I've heard that. I've seen it somewhere on my timeline,
Mm-hmm.
on my Instagram
Wow.
timeline. Yeah.
And you're big into movie production, I think. There as in
Yeah.
Atlanta, we have so many movies. Even here in Marietta Square, there are folks filming all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's everywhere.
I was walking through the park I was actually chugging a Powerade, and I noticed I was in the shot of somebody filming. And oh, darn it! Like,
Oh,
this is
man.
embarrassing. You know, wherever
Yeah,
you go, you could be in a movie in Atlanta.
yeah. They just used my my Edgewood location for one of the Marvel series that's coming out. The series is called Ironheart, and I guess that's the continuation of Iron Man, where they're recasting Iron Man as a young lady now, and her base of operations is technically across the street from my barbershop. So they're not they didn't film in my place, but for 30 days they used my marquee outside and they lit my place up to give it an ambient look from the outside. And yeah, it was pretty cool. They gave me a nice check, and it seemed it was pretty cool, man. Yeah,
Good for you.
Edgewood is where it's at, man. They're pretty much filming that whole series over there. They built a fake White Castle over there, and it's it's really happening over there right now. And just like you say, here in Atlanta, my last suite was actually in a soundstage where Netflix, HBO, Apple Television, they all had offices there, and had million square foot of sound stages. That they produced majority of the Stranger Things, Teletubbies, not Teletubbies, but Beanie Babies and things of that nature. But yeah, it's here all around in Atlanta, and I'm
Wow.
fortunate to, you know, oops, fortunate to be working in the industry.
Right. Yeah, you got a great location. And yeah, I remember I was doing my internship at the Georgia State Capitol when
Hmm.
they did open up those tax breaks to film companies. And that did bring in a lot of the new business into Peachtree City and then now all over the state of Georgia. So, with BSV, they're opening the Citadel there in Miami.
Hmm.
And that's not too far away. But I
Yeah,
feel like even Atlanta has a lot of opportunity for BSV.
yeah,
And with our network here, we can really make our own epicenter, right here.
I
And
agree with you. Yeah, for
so many
sure.
great businesses that could learn about it. And yeah, I wanted to know, how did you go from your sketch comedy routine, Angry Black Men on YouTube,
Black
into
males.
Bitcoin, and then into BSV and mining and everything? I mean, how did you get here? Because you are like right on top in Gorilla Pool.
Well, when I first learned about Bitcoin, it was 2011ish, in that range around there. And out of all people, Max Kaiser. I used to watch a lot of RT back there, and I was
Mhm.
part of the whole Silver Liberation Army. Bankrupt J.P. Morgan. So I bought a bunch of silver, wrote it up to $45. Crash, and still holding on to a lot of that silver. But that was my first introduction to Bitcoin. So just not really knowing a lot about it. I'm a button clicker, so I saw a little download button, I downloaded the little CPU miner onto my computer and just started mining. That was my first experience in mining, and then it really didn't take it serious. Really, it was just something that was in the background. The silver thing was pretty much the focus, in this libertarian circle that I was in, and so I never really paid attention to it until 2015, 2016, and I saw it picking up steam, and there was more chatter about it. So, I said, well, let me buy a few more. But even though the minor thing on my computer, by then the computer had crashed and blah, blah, blah. And,
Mhm.
it was a whole debacle. So never knew exactly if I even mined anything on the CPU. I never really, never checked it. So, you know, I found the hard drive, sent it out, spent about $2,500 to have it looked into to see if I could find these private keys maybe that are on the hard drive. Long story short, they wasn't on there. So those Bitcoins that I possibly mined, I never got. But leading into 2016 is when I really got serious and I started buying Bitcoin BTC. And started studying about it, started learning about it, and still wasn't really. I still don't really consider myself an expert on it, but I think I know enough as of now. But then, it was just learning what it actually was, and even then there was a lot of confusion. Being on Coinbase and things of that nature. I remember when the split was starting to happen, and there was a lot of talk about, you don't want to raise the blocks. You know, there was a whole thing. There was a whole consensus they had. I had to vote on it and everything. It was a whole,
Did you?
yeah. They
On Coinbase, the
Coinbase had a
website.
consensus where if you was a Bitcoin owner, you got to vote on whether or not they was going to adopt segregated witness or not. And so voted on that, and just ignorant of it, really didn't know. And I voted for, to keep it at 1 meg. And then that's when, BCH split and blah, blah, blah. I got my coins from that. Soon as I got my Bitcoin Cash coins, I converted them to Bitcoin. And I held on them for a little bit. Actually, I held on to them all the way until 2018. And that's when I sold the majority of my Bitcoin and used the majority of it for the down payment on this house that I'm sitting in right now. So, and let me tell you, when I sat with the underwriter, because they didn't understand Bitcoin,
I love it.
they didn't understand it. So, and this
Mm-hmm.
is the cool thing about it. So I sat down with the underwriter, and her boyfriend had some knowledge of Bitcoin. So we sat down, and I went through that's the beauty about Bitcoin, because it's all traceable. So I showed her where I bought it, saw where I bought it in Bitcoin, moved it over to my Trezor cold storage wallet. It sat there for a while, and I kept moving stuff in. And when it came to show them where the money was coming from, because you just can't show up with that amount of money in your bank account in a few days. They'd be like, well, where'd this money come from? So I really had to show them where I purchased the Bitcoin on Coinbase. When I moved it to my Trezor wallet, it sat there for a while. I moved it back, made a couple places, from Coinbase to Bittrex, a few other places. But because I still had the transactions and the hashes, I could prove to them that this is where it was. See, this is the amount of Bitcoin, and this is when I moved it. So when I moved it all back into Coinbase and cashed it out to my bank account, it was all verifiable. So that's how it went down when I bought this house back in 2018. It was and it was pretty, I'm happy I bought it. But if I would have held on to it, I could have bought this house cash,
Right, but
but
you
hindsight's 2020, you know what I'm saying? So
exactly. I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda.
yeah,
You are in a house
yeah.
that you bought because of Bitcoin. So
Bitcoin.
people say, "Oh, it's intangible," but look at you're in a house and
Yeah.
you materialized a whole
Yeah.
beautiful home, and it
Yeah,
looks
nice big
great.
chunk of money on it. So it worked out. I'm not mad that I didn't sell it. It's
Yeah,
at that point when I think it was about $6,500 a coin when I sold it. So
good for you. And I mean, that's a high level compared to where it had started.
yeah, because when it went from 3,000, when it went to 3,000, I go, oh Lord, you don't know the future. There was
Right.
times there where I was like, I was still pretty good, because where I bought at in 2016, it was nowhere near $3,000, but it was still like, oh, should I get out before this thing, goes
Mm-hmm.
to zero, in this, when you trade penny stocks, the volatility in that is really weird. So you apply that to Bitcoin in the early days, and that's how I was thinking. So went ahead and
Mm-hmm.
got out, cashed it out, bought the house, and I'm in a beautiful neighborhood. I love it.
Excellent. I'm so happy to hear that.
Thank you.
That is such a great story. And then maybe you could, share all those details. Even simple things like when you talk about using Trezor, cold storage, or you mentioned Bitfinex and this and that. All these different websites that maybe you don't even use them anymore,
Yeah,
but it would be interesting to hear how to. If you ever did how to tutorials,
yeah.
I would find that interesting.
Yeah, back in the early days, it was really confusing. The whole, trying to copy paste the alphanumeric, code, and making sure that it's, everything's lining up, because you don't want to be, sending that type of money over the internet and not make sure where
I
it's going.
know. Hmm.
So, But now, they pretty much streamlined it with the KYC and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get your debit card hooked up to these sites, it's easy money. A
Wow.
lot of the I've messed around with some of the exchanges that were outside of the United States, but I've always been weary of those type of exchanges. So, Bittrex and Coinbase, I haven't dealt with Coinbase in about 4 or 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I am going to buy BSV, it's usually through Bittrex. They have pretty good customer service, and it's a plethora of coins that you could buy if you're into other coins. But
Oh,
you know,
okay.
I'm a maximalist of BSV, and every now and then I'll buy a few other coins just to see if I could turn a profit to buy more BSV. But
Mm-hmm.
generally BSV. But Bittrex is they're really strong in the exchange game, at least here in America. I like them way more than I like them over Coinbase.
And what is it? It's
Bit,
BIT.
Bittrex.com, Bittrex.
Okay, great.
And I
Yes.
believe they're out of San Francisco too, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
Seattle, San Francisco, one of those, you know, West Coast cities.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So in that sense, you could go on Bittrex to purchase Bitcoin SV or to trade it into USD. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Then you
yeah,
could use it to pay a bill
yeah.
or buy
It,
something.
have it sent back to your checking account or your card and
Mhm.
cash it out. Yeah, they do it all.
Wow, thank you. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
I know.
yeah. Go ahead and look into them. They are, they're actually, I think they're way better. Like I said, way better than Coinbase.
Mhm.
It's a train wreck at this point.
Is it? So Coinbase is very hip. I mean, when I see people that I knew from
Brand.
the old hometown, they're talking about Coinbase a lot.
Hmm.
So why is it not that great? I mean, what about it?
Security issues. I've I've got friends who've had money taken from them. You know, thousands of dollars taken from them, and then Coinbase just looks like them as that they're the crooks. Without no investigation. Well, he did have an investigation, but the investigation came back that that he was responsible. Somebody came in, took 3 grand from him, and it's not just him. It's a few of my friends who've had money taken out of Bitcoin. I mean, out of Coinbase and not have it returned, and
Mm,
that's problematic with me because if you're a publicly traded company, there's no way that you should be able to get away with that. That you could just you know, and I don't know if they're FDIC insured or anything. I doubt that they are, but
mhm,
it's I don't like that. I don't
mhm,
like the fact that they could just say, "Hey, we're not gonna give you your money back." Well, what's going on? You guys got your site is obviously being hacked because I didn't take the money. It's missing. You know,
mm,
so I think if they did a better job on their security, I think I would probably deal with them a little more. But right now, two friends that I know have lost money personally, in their accounts, and Coinbase just said tough luck.
mhm. Wow. Yeah, that is a big deal
Yeah,
because they can't be, accountable to their customers, whether it was outsiders or not. I mean, if you go to the bank and you put your sacks of gold into the vault and then some Western movie bank robbers come and do a heist,
yeah. Your money's
that's
insured.
not, the bank will still, I believe with FDIC, they still will insure the fact that your money is in their
Yeah, up to
possession, really. So they
it's
will
either
hold.
100 grand or 250 grand. I think they'll
Mhm.
insure it. But that's one of the a lot of people are screaming this coin retrieval. You know,
Right.
this coin retrieval thing that Craig is talking about, and I don't understand how people think that's a bad idea. And I mean, you have to be practical about some of the things that they run through your mind,
Mhm.
and the practicality of you being able for you to be able to retrieve something that was lost, it just seems rational in this world that we're living in. You can't be
Mhm.
like finders keepers. It don't. Things don't work in like that in this world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if I entrust my money to you, case in point, my bank, I had about $2,600 stole from me about 90 days ago out of my checking account. And and we went through this whole thing because, you know, I felt as though I should have had the money returned to me ASAP, but they
Mm-hmm.
had to run a 90-day investigation. And, you know, it turned out that, you know, that I wasn't doing anything illegal, and they
Mm-hmm.
returned the money. It was actually a fraudulent. Somebody hacked my card and took the money, bought a bunch of Apple cards.
Oh
So
no, I
in
remember seeing that
yeah,
tweet.
so
Yeah.
in that case, that's of course I want my money back. You know, I want
Mm-hmm.
it taken from me, and it's the same thing with Bitcoin. This thing is going to apply with Bitcoin. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot, you know, take somebody's, you know, property and think that, you know, that it's cool, you know, and then society doesn't work that way. You know, it's and they're going to put checks and balances in, and, you know, and just from out of just mistakes, people make mistakes all the time. You know, I've
Mm-hmm.
sent, you know, I mean, when I first got into this, right, into the whole wallet thing, Neo, I bought a bunch of Neo and I sent it to this wallet that I thought that I downloaded was the official wallet, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the official wallet. I sent it to somebody else's wallet, and they, you know, and that's lost, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and in this world, you know, that's being built, that's not going to fly. You know,
Right.
you're gonna have to be able to roll back things and refunds. I mean, what's a world without refunds? You
Mm-hmm.
know, it doesn't make sense. So, especially in a e-commerce side of things, I mean, you can't you have to be able to look. I want my money back. You
Right.
know, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're the BTCers are really reaching for that one. You know, like I say, they're really reaching to think that that's the world that's coming. No.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they have their um just kind of narratives that they push. Now, the one thing is about be your own bank that we hear from them as well. And I thought I should reiterate that, you know, the bank would be that exchange because they're
Mhm.
saying we will hold your money here on the exchange. So
Right.
if they're going to have that responsibility, they also likewise should have that accountability.
Yeah.
Say we have this process we go through to honor our customers so that we
Yeah.
are a trustworthy business that people can count on. But Bitcoin itself is a system. It's a peer to peer electronic cash system where we can send money, and it's a great solution that was definitely needed. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, why wasn't it invented sooner? You
Well,
know,
it's the
what was
last part
everybody
of the
doing?
internet
Like,
that they
come
they
on,
couldn't
people.
figure out, but they finally figured it out. And you know, going back to the bank thing, me personally, I think banks will still be here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think we're still really, really early in this technology and how things work. And it, you know, I think that the exchanges will be there, but not in the capacity that we know them as now. You know, I think the exchanges will eventually morph into where companies will start tokenizing their stocks, and those tokenized stocks will be available on exchanges that we talk about. You know, the
Ooh,
Bittrex, the Coinbases, and things
yeah.
of that nature. Eventually, you know, I believe that they'll tokenize these things, and that's where the exchanges will play a part in. As far as banking is concerned, and this is my opinion on it,
Oh, for sure.
you know,
Yes.
once they introduce a digital currency, you know, a stable coin, a dollar stable coin,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the only way I see this going, they would probably people would probably turn in, you know, assets as far as gold and silver for these, you know, digital assets from the government. You know, this what is it, the CDBC?
CBDC.
Yeah,
Yep. Central bank digital currency.
yeah. So they would be distributed by the banks, and most likely pennies on the dollar for greenbacks. And I think where the play will come in, it may even come into where they did it like with the gold confiscation thing. You know, if you look at Bitcoin in its essence, it's a network, right? And in order for the flow of data and things to, you know, to operate on it, you need Bitcoin to make it happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if that the government would go that route to where they would offer, you know, the digital tokens in exchange for your BSV so they can, do the things, set up infrastructure and help, build this, network in a way, comparable to the internet now and way beyond it,
Mm-hmm.
but, that's my opinion. But I do think banks will still play a big role in this. They're
Mm-hmm.
not going anywhere. They've, to be honest, I know a lot of people look at Bitcoin to be an organic thing, but I think, I kind of look at all angles at things when I analyze things.
Mm-hmm.
And this could have been just something that the NSA or any other government facility has just, to my understanding, I don't know, maybe because I've heard one time I've said this before, and somebody corrected me on it, but I
It's
always
okay
thought,
to be wrong. Don't worry.
yeah, I always thought the NSA were the ones who taught the cyberpunks, cryptology. In
Mm-hmm.
my early, I guess, trying to find out about Bitcoin, that's some of the things that I learned about, the cyberpunks and things of that nature. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was, we look at it organic, but things may not be as organic as we think they are, and because just the state of things with, I don't know if you've ever been on the World Economic Forum site, but they have a, I guess it's a page called Strategic Intelligence, and their blockchain web that they've created. You said we could share screens.
Sure. Yeah. Just hit
Let
present,
me,
I think is the button at the bottom. Yeah, share that.
let me
And
see.
then, yeah, I know SHA 256 bit uh, is
So
uh,
what? How do I do it? What
produced
do I
by
do?
the NSA.
So how do I share it?
Oh, if you click, do you see a button at the bottom by all the buttons? It says present,
Present. Yeah. So
and then
click
click
that.
on that, and then it'll let you share a tab or share your
All
screen as
right.
you like. Yes. So, yeah, I think while you're getting the screen up, that a lot of things have been put out there, and then I think it is organic in the sense of like building blocks put together. So, like SHA-256 bit uh, was produced by the NSA, but it was out there for anyone to see.
Oh yeah.
Just like the MIT license, it was out there. So I think it's more like these were there, but it just is about people being creative, putting things together, using what you have to do the best you can.
Cool. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see it?
Not yet. I see you. Yes, I'm looking over here at the
Mm.
computer. Oh, it's so good to see you clearly. Yes. I like your hat.
Thank you.
That is gorgeous. Red and
So
black.
yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I think it's coming up. Now let me see. Add to stream. Ooh, beautiful. What is this? Okay.
So this is the strategic. If you go to if you go to the World Economic Forum, they have a blockchain, web here, and I'm not sure why it's not optimized here, but
Do you want to make it bigger or let me make my screen
let
bigger?
me see.
So yeah, it looks like
Yeah, it's the biggest it's gonna get. I don't know why it's doing this, but anyway,
I
as you
can
see,
see
they
it.
have all these little
Yeah.
subfolders of blockchain
Mhm.
policy, regulation, leveraging blockchain and cryptocurrency, smart contract automation, climate impact, digital identity, new governance, digital assets decentralized, blockchain security, tokenization and ability. All these things that they have planned for blockchain. And I find it pretty interesting that I find it pretty interesting that they're talking about it out in open like this
Mhm.
because it's going to be a major factor moving forward in this new world that's being created, this globalization, and it's going to be
Mhm.
a big factor. And hopefully, if Bitcoin is implemented in a way that we hope it will, it will level the playing field. um I just finished Stakeholders Capitalism by Klaus Schwab. And I know a lot of people are critical of the World Economic Forum and things of that nature. But before I make a decision on things, I like to see, like I say, all angles on things. So I'm not opposed to reading things that I may not read, forehand, but some of the stuff in stakeholder capitalism, that's what he talks about. He talks about leveling the playing field with these new technologies. And it's going to be interesting to see how this technology gets rolled out. Me myself, I'm working on some really cool things in the space. I haven't really been on Twitter a lot because I'm working on trying to raise some money to fund this project that I'm working on. It's really
More
cool.
power to you. Good for you. Mm-hmm. Yes, and that is so wise to go ahead and read the book, because we've seen the quotes from Klaus Schwab. He said things like, "You will own nothing and be happy."
Yeah.
That gets.
I need to understand that a little more. Like, what do you mean by that? So,
right.
A lot of people will, they'll hear the quote and they'll just automatically just jump on the defensive, and then I was defensive about it also. Don't get it twisted. But, me being at the age that I am now, you before you go full throttle, you step back a little bit to see just what's happening. So, but yeah, that's what I've done. I've actually read a few of the books. Even with Yuval Harari, I've read *Sapien* and 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. And once again, all this stuff is from what these guys are talking. This stuff plays right in line with it. Now, there's two ways that it could play out. I know a lot of times with the human mind, we always put 100 on 10, meaning we always look at things in its worst situation, which is good. Which is good because, Michael Shermer talks about that, about being skeptic. That's what got us here now, being skeptical, as, Neanderthals and things of that nature.
Right.
You hear noise in the bush, you're not going to go investigate it. You're going to let me stay away from that bush because I don't know what's over in that bush. If you go near the bush, it's possible that there's nothing there, but then it could have been a saber-toothed tiger and your dinner. So skepticism has brought us where we are now, in this world. It's definitely something that that we need.
Yes, definitely. Now I have a book that I was so excited about, because we often will talk about BlackRock, and then I found this book by the founder of Blackstone, What It Takes.
Fink.
And
This is Larry Fink.
But I think he's in one of the pictures here. This is Stephen Schwartzman.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes. And so he's the co-founder of Blackstone, together with Pete Peterson. And just reading his book, I can see how he is definitely too legit to quit. Like he talks about how he started out at Lehman Brothers, and his time at Yale, and how he wanted to kind of make a scene so he could get tapped to go into the Skull and Bones fraternity, and all these things that you hear about in the conspiracy theory videos. Yeah. To read his book, it's exciting because I see this is a good guy. This is a good person who has the combination of the imagination, the audacity to think big, and then to go for it and to execute, as far as to deliver results, to make it happen, to materialize a big dream or a big goal. So I have started to read this chapter by chapter. And if anyone is interested, they can watch on Real World BSB, the new podcast channel that was produced by Jay and Ray. And I will develop my skills as well as an audiobook reader. So I think, originally when I had seen Joshua Hensley's post about, hey, this is what's happening with BlackRock, I was skeptical. And I thought, oh, these are bad people, or this is bad. And they're buying up all the homes in the United States, and they want us to all be in poverty. And I thought very skeptically, or really embrace that negative mindset. But then as I explored the noise over in the bush and started to find out some more details, I ended up reaching something that has been very empowering. This book is exciting and inspirational for anyone that reads it, for themselves to be empowered to imagine and to manifest and to go big and to do it and have fun, with what you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
So I need to follow your example, though, and look more into the World Economic Forum, because I haven't really looked into that.
What's
So,
the hold on, let me pull it up again, because it is probably in-depth one of the most in-depth pieces of I don't even know what to call it. It's really I mean, it seems like they have all the bases covered when it comes to this.
mhm. And talking about mindset, when we see lack or feel that sense of dread, then that can compound and then everything looks negative. But
Yeah,
when we see opportunity and we make a list of gratitude, things that we're grateful for,
yeah,
then it uplifts and we can see the plentifulness there
yeah.
for us and for
And
everyone. There's
yeah,
all
and people have to train themselves, especially in these times, with the media and social media and these algorithms. My opinion on algorithms, I know you could probably write an algorithm to bring us together, but these algorithms that are out now seem to do nothing but to separate us. And I don't know if it's done by
Mhm.
purpose, or if it's just code. I'm not quite sure. But there's so much division going on. People are at each other's throats, you know
Mhm.
and matter of fact, talking about algorithms and AI, in the book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, they go into the game theory side of things a little bit, about how eventually these algorithms are going to get so smart at predicting what we're doing, that eventually we'll just start to listening to whatever they tell us to do, because it's coming down to the point to where the accuracy of how they're predicting our next move with these algorithms
Mhm.
is that your psychiatrist will be a AI, telling you,
Mhm.
hey man, you, you
Mhm.
don't feel too good. This monitor says, that you're feeling down, so your devices will play songs, like "Don't Worry," it'll just play songs to lift you up. And I'm like, what? And when they actually talk about hacking the human body and things of that nature, and it sounds scary, but once again, it goes back to putting 100 on 10. Um, I've been following this globalization thing since like '96, and can you guys see my screen?
No, not yet.
Oh man,
Sorry. Yes, I remember Atlanta, 1996.
yeah.
And we got the Olympics. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll add you to stream. There it is. Okay, thank
Right. So as you can see, if you go to their site, I mean, they have everything from 3D printing, Africa, it's everything. Every country in the world is listed on here, and their plans going forward into this global society. And it's really fascinating, to be honest. I mean, if you look at it, from a objective point of view, and not go in with the doom and gloom attitude to
you.
it,
Hmm.
it's actually, it's informative, and it's not to say that, that these things will be put in place. It's just something that people have wrote down, and this would like to be the roadmap to where maybe Jamaica wants to go, or Japan, or wherever it may be. But I found it to be pretty cool. It's very in depth, though, for sure. So if you guys want to check it out, it's definitely something to check out and educate yourself a little bit more on this, on what these world planners have in store. you know Positive or negative, prepare yourself. you know,
Mhm.
because there's two
Right.
sides to, I always say there's two sides to being effed up. There's a good side and a bad side. So decide which side you want to be on, you know.
Woo!
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. That is so great. So that is just the worldeconomicforum.com or .org.
Yeah. And they
W.
have a subtab. I think they have a tab that actually, when you go there, that talks about, or you could just search strategic intelligence. That's what it
Okay,
is.
strategic intelligence.
Yeah.
Yes, I will look that up. And
And the
when you
blockchain thing is fascinating. I'm telling you, when you go to there and you click the block, they seem to have it all covered. They seem to have it all covered what blockchain is and how it's going to integrate into every facet of society.
hmm Right, that's what I mean. Like, why didn't it get invented sooner? Is my big question. Because, like, what was everybody doing before that? I feel the same way, though, about the light bulb. I mean, how long did it take humanity to get to
Yeah.
the point to invent the light bulb? I mean, come on, people, get with it.
Mhm.
Like, that
We
was the
humans make things
majority of
we
human
make things out of
history.
necessity, and the necessity of having this last layer of the internet, brought in, finally came to fruition. Which it's
Yes.
it
And
took a
now we
minute.
build on, right?
Yeah,
We
it
build
took a minute,
on.
but they got it now.
Yes. So when you look at that website that you first showed with the circle and then all of the different topic points shining out like the sun, I think that reminds me a lot of BSV because Bitcoin SV, the BSV blockchain, people that are involved, that's what we're all about. We're talking about the use of data in the world today and innovative ways to have transparency, as well as I think the key point is the ownership for individuals. So for people to be able to own their own data and it not be that we are the products that a company could use to sell our data to each other, but really we are the individual with ownership of data. So data itself is so valuable.
There it
And
is. I pulled it back up on the screen,
yes,
and
I see.
I got it all blowing up now in full
Right.
screen. So,
So this is, yeah, if let's look at some of these points. Can you
so
see them? Let me zoom in. Yes. So what are some BSV points that you see here on this dial?
I see, smart contracts and automation, you know, and then when you click that, it highlights all these areas right here. What is that? Sustainable development, artificial intelligence, fourth industrial revolution, insurance, banking, capital markets, innovations, risk and resilience, supply chains, future computing, cybersecurity, trade and investment, mobility, and you can click either one of these and it will take you, it'll take you to that. And all that breaks down
Neato.
into, and that goes into another subsection of it from manufacturing, So it's very, very in depth. And the time that they put into this is it is impressive. It is
Wow.
very impressive.
So this the World Economic Forum Strategic Intelligence website is this page is all about blockchain.
Well,
Every
they have a section strictly for blockchain. Then you just scroll down. Everything is in alpha. If you click the discovery button up
mm-hmm,
here and hit all topics, all
mm-hmm,
topics will bring you to this page. And this page here has everything on it. So everything is in alphabetical order. So if you come down the
mm-hmm.
blockchain, just click it, and it will bring you to that page. And then
Ah, thank you.
you can go through it all. I mean, it's in depth. You'll be here. I was here
Wow.
for a while reading, on how
Mm-hmm,
they plan on, implementing this technology into things. And right
mm-hmm,
now, they also talk about right now. What's the sad part about this is that when they talk about blockchain, the only chains they're talking about are proof of stake, which really makes me sad
mm-hmm.
that that's what they're on. But I think when they realize that the proof of stake thing, and I'm not going to say it's not viable because of once again going back into the stakeholder capitalism and then staking, you know there's some correlation there. And I'm not saying that, that's what that's what they're looking at, but that, some of the ones that are Polygon, Sol, that they actually mention,
Mhm.
Ethereum. But you and I both know that those aren't capable of being implemented on a world level, nowhere near ready to be implemented in that capacity. The only one that is Bitcoin SV.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think there are all of these groups that deflect the energy, that they veer off to do these things like proof of stake, and things that are not capable for long-term scalability of the, for the whole world to use? Why would they all waste their time going off in that direction?
Don't know, man, because the way I look at it, it's like currency, the term currency, being able to move, do stuff to generate energy. That's what from what I understand where the term currency comes from. So
Mm,
there's something, nothing comes from nothing. You know, the sun comes down, hits the vegetable, the vegetable absorbs that energy. I go out there, dig it up,
mhm,
consume it, consume the energy. And it's the same thing with money and currency. I mean, there's a flow of energy there, and
mhm,
proof of work just seems to fall in line with with the with with the state of where things are now.
mhm.
Even making money right now, it takes energy to make money, doesn't it?
It does.
I don't care how you look at it. I don't care if you're just sitting home day trading. It's still energy. You're sitting on a
Right.
computer absorbing, electricity. If you're out working, cutting grass for somebody, that's still energy that you're exerting. It all
Mhm,
comes down to currency, electricity and flow. So when you start talking about proof of work, it just seems to fall in line also with the way things are now. But
mhm,
that could be just the way things are now, and they may be moving towards
mhm.
something else, to a proof of stake. You know,
Right. So when they say power corrupts absolutely, or there could be some people who maybe they have low self-awareness or self-love, so then they cling to power. Maybe they want to be powerful and they just are seeking to be powerful all the time. And then maybe those people would spend their time to do things that could convince them they were going to be powerful.
yeah.
That it? Is that what the proof of stake is about? When we
Well, it's uh, I mean, you have to, and that's what's weird about it, because I don't understand why. I mean, you can just print a coin, mint it. I mean, and keep 100 billion coins for yourself with nothing, to no mining, no nothing. You just designate them to yourself and just release all the other ones. What's stopping, you from adding more to the supply or things of that nature? It just seems,
Mhm.
we'll be right back where we were, especially if you're using it in a peer-to-peer cash system. Eventually you could just inflate the money again and boom, which could be done with the CDBs, with the CBDCs. They could
Right.
be done the same thing. They could be done the same way, where you can introduce more into the, economy, and devalue it also.
Mhm.
But it's just the proof of stake. It's just, I never really got into it. I bought the Tezo ICO, and I went through that whole drama of the lawsuit and everything. And when they finally released my coins, I couldn't wait to sell them things.
You're
Couldn't
like,
wait to sell them. I had the ones that I had staked. I waited for the time so I can unstake them, and I cashed them out. Because to me, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It just, the staking side of things just complicated things to me, if you ask me. You know, it's kind of like with the whole atomic swap things. And those things really don't get into them, because they kind of, they get a little shaky and suspect there. You know,
right, where they just
yeah,
I've heard Craig Wright talk about that, atomic swaps.
Yeah.
or some kind of way to do that through SPV. But talking about CBDCs, I know that a lot of my friends, they have been very anti CBDC. And even this morning, I saw someone that I'm a big fan of, someone that I really admire, a famous person. They were there saying, no, we've got to stop the CBDCs. And a lot of friends that I know in person and around the world, they say the same thing. And I follow nChain. I have the bell on their
Yeah.
Twitter.
Notification. So do
And
I.
yeah, exactly. So like the second they tweet, I always notice it. And then I'll think, oh, yay, they've got more information. So I believe that with the CBDC and even with Bitcoin, the system, the Bitcoin time chain or blockchain being used as the plumbing for the whole entire digital information age that we're creating right now, or moving into, or we've
Yeah.
been in and we're developing. Uh, I think that it could be a win-win for all the people everywhere, not just, some kind of proof of stake that is done from, the Klaus Schwab, let's say. I still don't know. I'm open-minded as far as I will look into what they're doing, and I will listen to the people who are skeptical. Uh, and then I will pray about it.
You
And
have to
I'll
be
do my
skeptical
best
about it
every day to do whatever
because I
I
don't,
can.
I'm not, I don't want to
Like, I
sound
don't know.
pro World Economic Forum or pro Klaus Schwab because
Yeah,
there's things to where like where they talk about like what you said you'll own nothing and be happy. All right. Well, who decides who lives where? Who decides who gets the beach house and who decides who gets the shack?
exactly.
Who
Exactly.
decides all of this?
Right. Right.
But some of the things he talks about in
Mm.
the book actually makes sense. Where like in the stakeholders, whoever has stakes actually gets a vote and and I think with blockchain that is a way I think society will go to where we could actually implement list of priorities and then use the blockchain to vote on those priorities
Oh,
and
right.
and we could see in real time what priority takes precedence and work on that and then
Ah,
go on down the line with this consensus. The blockchain, it could bring in a consensus voting system to where, it's,
I
what the
see.
people,
Right.
what the
So
people
in
want.
that sense, it's not one and the rest are nil. It's this is this and that is that. And that is that over there. And all of these innovations could be used. Like maybe Bitcoin proof of work brought back attention to blockchain in general and then inspired other people to innovate to do things in new ways. Could it be that? Like maybe
Well,
proof of stake is not a bad guy.
yeah,
Maybe
that's
you're just
exactly what's going to
doing something
happen. I mean,
different.
eventually, like I said, we make things out of necessity. So as this technology grows, the necessity for new things will come into play, you know, like the
Mhm.
CBDC.
Right.
It's new things will come into play.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how, when they got rid of it's the same thing they said about, with cars. The horsing and the ranchers were saying, well, you're gonna ruin horsing. You're gonna ruin the ranching side of things. But what happened, even though that kind of died out, look at all the jobs that were created through the automobile industry. You got to make
Mm-hmm.
tires, you got to make engines, you got to make bearings, you got to make leather, you got to make this, you got
Gas
to make that,
station,
you got to make everything.
motels.
Yeah, and I believe that's how it'll be moving forward with this technology. It'll be, you know, things that are completely new to us and foreign to us. But the younger generation gets it. My 6-year old, she's a Roblox queen.
Ooh, does she play? Yeah, I played Roblox a couple weeks ago with my friend Ashlyn the gamer.
Mhm.
And so I learned all about it. So what games in Roblox does your daughter like the best?
She plays the obbies a lot. She does that, and then she likes to play murder mystery. Uh, to where they run around. There's a bad guy and there's a sheriff, and the sheriff tries to get the bad guy before the bad guy, takes out everything. So she,
Great.
she likes that. Yeah. But she's my son, my son, he has a restaurant in Roblox, and it's called the Eaters Eat Cafe. And he's booming. The business is great. He's got people working for him, and people come there. And when I saw it, I'm like, "What are you doing?" He said, "Yeah, these people, they work because apparently, like with my daughter, she has to go work for electricity. Like she'll be in her house and the lights will go off. Her baby's crying. She got flies flying around her, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going? Why? What is that?" She's like, "I ain't took a bath." "Why didn't you take a bath?" "Because I got to go to work." "So why do you got to go to work?" "Because my lights are off." So she'll take the baby with her, jump on her bike, and go to the restaurant and work. And then it's real life. I mean, it's actually kind of disturbing that that my daughter is actually being seems, I don't think she's stressed out, but because she's just running around the baby. She don't care about the baby crying or her ain't bathed in 5 or 6 days. She's just running around doing what she wants. But yeah, but this new society with with the metaverse and
Yeah,
everything else, I do believe it is definitely being engineered to my children who don't know the world without the internet.
right.
They were born into this.
Yes, that is amazing. Well, we'll have to introduce my friend Ashlyn to your son's restaurant
Yeah,
because
it's called the Eaters
she,
Eat Cafe. I'll find out what hobby it's on, but it's the Eaters Eat Cafe, and it's 2 stories. He got 2 drive-through windows now because the one drive-through wasn't enough, and he's made a bunch of
that's
Robux, man.
great.
He's made a bunch of money.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, and people I saw, we took a tour of the IHOP. There's an IHOP in Roblox, and Ashlyn liked to go in there and work, but it seemed like there were more workers than customers. So, but anyway, she made some pancakes with strawberries on the top, and it was so much fun to see. She said she likes to go on job interviews. So that's why, they have interviews, I guess, in
yeah,
Roblox. But also, we were talking about games. I know you are a gamer. So
yeah,
you got
part time, but yeah,
yeah, for fun, right? So
yeah.
what are some of your favorite games, Jimmy?
Right
Sir,
now, one of the ones that I've been playing for months now, and I've actually had to stop playing it because it's can't I've gotten to the last guy, and he's pretty brutal. But Elden Ring, that's the one I've been on really strong. It's a amazing game, amazing graphics. It's open world, basically do what you want. It's pretty in depth, man. And I've made it all the way to the last guy, and he's beaten me probably close to about 200 times, to the point to where I've actually turned it off and just gonna give it a break because it is frustrating. I've done everything I could to try to, you know, take this guy out, man, Radagon, but he's 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 a tough dude, man. But it's a very good game, man. Also, I play VR. I got a VR headset, and some of that's pretty cool. The
mm,
VR, it definitely is a trip to the brain. If you've never experienced VR, it's pretty cool, man. Completely immersive, man. One of my favorite VR games is Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is yeah, it's intense, man. There's some boards on there, bro. That is pretty frightening, because like I said, it's completely immersive, and you're in this world, and even though it's in, I think, probably a 64-bit, setting, with time, we're going to be up to 256-bit, real life, VR.
mm-hmm.
And it if it gets to where they can incorporate the real Unreal Engine 5 or something to that nature into VR, it'll be game over. It's going to be hard to differentiate reality from the gaming world, because
Exactly.
everything will look so
True.
real and
Already
yeah.
without
Your senses, even at the 64-bit level, the
mm-hmm.
senses are. They have this one game in there where you're on the space station
Mm-hmm.
and you're weightless. I don't know how the brain, how it tricks the brain to making you feel as though you're weightless.
Mm-hmm.
You get, the nausea starts to set in. You be like, oh, I got to sit down, but it's
Gotta hold the wall.
yeah, it's because it really feels like you're floating. It's
Right.
amazing. It is amazing. So going forward with the metaverse and things of that nature, these are going to be big components, even AR glasses. I think that's the next big move that we're going to have, the next big push.
Mm-hmm.
Or the
Right.
AR glasses.
Remember those Google Glass? They
Mm-hmm.
came out like years ago.
Yeah, I think they're actually trying to rebrand it, but to something. They're not going to call them Google Glass. They're calling them something at Google something, but they rebranded them. They're rebranding them, and they've changed the design.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, eventually, I think, NFTs, like what I said before, play a big part in this AR world.
How
You
so?
know, how so is like, for instance, Rare Candy. Rare Candy does the NFTs to where you can AR the NFTs. So in this AR world, if you can, like, say with my business, my barbershop, I can AR an NFT barber pole, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you walk by my shop, that barber pole pops up on your in your goggles, right?
Oh.
You touch it, boom, you can bring it in for whatever redeemable thing it's attached to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that will be probably one of the bigger applications. I ain't gonna say bigger applications, but one of our popular applications for NFTs, to where they will be popping up everywhere in the AR world. Everywhere you walk, there'll be advertisements, but those advertisements will be tied to NFT. You know.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I see oftentimes there'll be these Pokemon Go gangs walking around
Mhm.
Marietta Square.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'll say, "Hey, are you playing Pokemon?" And I'll say, "Let me see." And then I'll look at their phone, and they're there walking around.
yeah.
So I guess it could be the same. Like if you
Relica
don't
did the
have
same
the AR
thing.
glasses, you could use your
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah, because right now the phone
Yeah.
is what we're using the lens on this, but the
Mhm.
eventually the AR glasses will sync to your phone, but eventually they won't. Eventually it'll all be self-contained in the glasses. You won't even need a phone. It'll all be answered through your whatchamacallit.
Right.
But
Glasses.
Relica did the same thing. Yeah, with your glasses. Relica did the same thing with the geotagging of NFTs,
Right.
to where, they had me going all around Atlanta looking, for
Right.
these relics. And like you say, you hold your phone up and it'll pop up on you. You
Yeah.
click it and you redeem Bitcoin, 4 cents
Mhm.
in Bitcoin, or whatever it may be, $1 off for your next, meal, or, for your
Mhm.
next taco, as they say in Flash.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's like makes me think of Kurt in Miami in a
yeah,
Hawaiian shirt
exactly.
eating
So yeah,
tacos.
exactly. So imagine when you got your AR glasses on and everything. I mean, everywhere you're going, things are going to be popping up on you. Boop, boop, boop. Even
Mhm.
people's identities, and their social media. That seems to be the way that society is moving. And we're old. Well, I'm old. And I don't
Mhm.
know, like, we're old, but I'm old. But
That's
I'm old.
okay.
So
I love
my
I love
kids are in
being
a different world. They embrace this stuff. They look at it as, I can't wait. And it's kind of
right.
like when I was a kid. I used to talk about, can't wait for the future. Things.
Mhm. Hoverboards.
Yeah, hoverboard. I'm have my little television in hand, walking around. But that
Right.
didn't happen. But we have these, and
Right.
that's pretty much comparable to that. You
Yes.
know.
And they do have kind of hoverboards. I mean, they have wheels,
Hmm.
but we do have that now,
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of, just with wheels.
yeah, with wheels.
Yeah.
Even then, I mean, that in itself, just go back 30 years, right? If you was to take that back 30 years, right, to
Mhm.
where you could travel back in time and go back 30 years and pop out on that thing, you would freak everybody out.
That's true.
Like, how are you doing that? Where'd you get it?
Going
How?
uphill. Yeah.
Yeah, how
Uphill on a roller.
how do you know, how does it move by itself? How
I
does it
know.
know to turn right, left? You know, and so those are things that that just over time, it could be considered a hoverboard. It's definitely a hoverboard, but going back 30 years, you take it back and say it's a hoverboard, they ain't gonna, you know, the only
Mhm.
reason why we got this hoverboard ideas from Back to the Future.
I know. I love
Yeah,
it.
but they do have some pretty cool technology called quantum trapping, where they can take things and levitate them in midair. they freeze them down to really cold temperatures with liquid hydrogen, and
Mhm.
and put it on a track, and it quantum locks in midair, and
Wow.
pretty cool.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and even with maglev trains, they have a kind of hover
Yeah,
outcome.
yeah. It's a wonder why America doesn't have something like that. Considering we're supposed to be the most innovative country in the world, we still have these old. Have you ever rode Amtrak?
Uh, I
It,
think
it
up in
is the
Buffalo.
worst.
Yeah, I went from Rochester, New York to Niagara, and then we took an Uber home back
Yeah.
to Rochester. But I took the train, and yeah, it was fun. Listen, I took Marta to go to the Jazz Fest.
Hmm.
Not a good plan.
Where'd you get on North Springs?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Where did we go? We got on, yeah, I think maybe North Springs,
Yeah.
and
Why?
then
Yeah.
rode in. And
Once you get to Lennox, it becomes a spectacle into the city. It's
oh,
pretty.
for
You
sure.
gotta have
And
some
like
glasses though. That's the glasses. You don't want to make eye contact.
I know. And then on the way home, it was just, there's just like people from asylums that hang out on Marta pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, but
So, yeah, I would love to see us get good public transport, but I don't know.
yeah. Well, I just voted on they have the streetcar down here in Atlanta, the Atlanta
Oh,
streetcar. And a lot
mhm,
of people are, upset about it because there's usually there may be 100 people ride that thing in a day, if that.
mhm.
And but a lot of people don't understand Atlanta, the traffic here is the worst.
It is.
And you got more and more people moving here. And right now, yeah, it only goes around, and I think it's like a 4 or 5 mile radius. But they plan on, laying another 63 miles of track here in the city, and hopefully with that and with that and you know renewable energy and bikes and things of that nature, you can take some of the alleviation off the traffic, because that is the only thing in the city that actually messes with my chi, man. That is the only thing
Mhm,
that I cannot stand doing. When I get to my place, I'll walk places before I'll get my truck and drive around, because it is
mhm,
frustrating. And down, and now in the times that we live in, man, frustration can get you hurt, because
mhm,
road rage is real. And
mhm,
I'm just trying, stay in my lane and make it home.
mhm.
You
I
know,
know it. And to like remember to breathe. And I the thing I do when I drive is, or even if I'm walking and I see some crazy person driving by, or if people are angry and they're honking and they're having a moment, I mean, for me, I'll just say, I'll be like, bless them and everyone around them. And then that makes me feel good, and it sends out those good vibes, like
yeah,
at least for myself.
yeah,
And then I'm hoping it's going
that's
to
good
send
stress
out good
management.
to them too, and
Yeah, that's good stress management. I
yes.
need to practice that, because I'm used to, as soon as they do something, I look at this idiot. That's the first thing.
Amazing.
And I need to
This
get better, but
turkey.
yeah, I need to get better at that. But
That is for everybody. We all do. Yeah.
it's a crazy
So
world.
it is. But Jimmy, we've been it's so good to talk to you. I know you got a lot happening there.
Yeah.
I had wanted us to play games today, but I think it might be good. Could you come on again? Could we talk regularly?
Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, I don't. We could definitely, man.
This will
Even
be
if you
great. We could do a regular podcast or
yeah,
something.
no, I liked it, man. It was pretty cool. We sit up a day, you know,
Yes.
um, you know, I took time out the day on my schedule to make this happen. But
Thank you.
Wednesdays and Mondays are really good days for me. If you, I don't
Mhm.
know, do you do it all the time on Thursdays, or can we record on Wednesdays maybe, and then maybe broadcast it on a different day?
Exactly. Good idea. Yeah. I mean, Mondays could be good too.
Yeah, I'm
So,
off all day on Mondays. Wednesdays I go in at 3:30, but on Mondays I'm off all day. So
are you
yeah, but I
okay?
would love this. I love the conversations, man. And
Me too. And this is the way we learn, because there could be things that we see on social media and they just are like
mhm.
flying by. like a train, you know, subway train.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
then when you
That's
have
good.
a conversation about it, you can learn more and more. So I love it. And
Well,
then
that's what
anyone
it's
that's
about dialogue.
watching,
It's
pardon?
it's about dialogue. I mean, like
It
I know some of the some of the maximalists, Bitcoin SV maximalists, they they some of their beliefs, and I'm not knocking, we believe what we believe and whatnot, but
sure.
I
You
think
know,
a lot of times we should pump our brakes instead of just jumping to the conclusion of what might be considered to be dire or things of that nature, and and don't listen to what everybody's out there, the noise out there. Look it up for yourself, do your
mhm,
research on it for yourself, and then make a decision on it for yourself. I've from day one, I've been people have been talking about how bad and how dire things will get, but like I said, that's just people. That's just our nature. We're gonna put 100 on
mhm,
10 just because. So, challenge yourself sometimes, and, go to the other, see what the other people are talking about. That's
that,
what, a lot of folks with Donald Trump, a
mhm.
lot of people, I supported Donald Trump in his last campaign,
Did you really?
yeah, it's the first time I ever voted, first time I ever voted Republican in my life.
Really? I
Yeah.
know. Me
I've
too.
been voting libertarian for like the last 20 years. But yeah,
Wow.
I voted Donald Trump the last election, and I caught a lot of flack for it, man. And it even strained, my marriage here. It was a house divided here, with
Mhm,
my wife's pretty much liberal, and
mhm,
I'm conservative. I believe in conservative views, and you know, and it's still, when I do my political, stats, I'm still in the libertarian realm,
mhm,
but there are things that I do hold dear, and that's the biggest thing is family.
mhm.
That is one of the biggest things, that I am very strong on. I'm
Yes.
a in-house father, we got,
Mhm,
and I love being with my grandchildren and my older son and his wife,
mm,
and and I don't know that the liberals don't have family values as far as on their political side of things, but
mhm.
I know what works for me, and some of the things that and then both sides, there's extremes on both sides. Now I'm not going to
Oh,
sit
for
here and say,
sure.
there's
Yeah.
extremes on both sides, so
Mhm.
just trying to find a middle common ground. But that goes back to what I was saying about algorithms and how algorithms can sway. I mean, eventually the algorithms are going to be thinking for you. And that's kind of where we're at
Right.
now, where some people, they just all the information that we absorb. I mean, think about the amount of information that we absorb on a
I
daily basis compared to 20 years ago.
I know.
It is ridiculous. Back then, you all we had was television and newspapers and things of that nature. So you might watch television a few hours out of the day or something like that, might catch the
Mhm.
news, and that might be where you get your information, or you're in the car with the radio or something of that nature.
Right.
Now you have a plethora of information all day, 24/7,
Yes.
hitting you, and it's
Even hear it in the
confusing.
night. Ding.
Yeah, it is confusing. It is
Yes, it
very
is.
confusing to decipher between what's real and what ain't real. Deep fakes, it's just so it is, I was talking about this yesterday about Joe Biden.
Mhm.
Right. Now, they have to be using deep fakes on Joe Biden because sometimes I see Joe Biden, he look like he decrepit, he can barely talk, and then other times I see him, he seems like he got a good B12 shot and he moving around. So I'm thinking to myself, this can't be real. Something, as much as I know they were doing deep fakes with Donald Trump, they're doing them with this dude too on the other side. And so you can't. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe
It
your
is
own
really
eyes.
hard. I
It's
know.
hard to believe your own eyes in this day and time,
It is.
which is scary.
I know. And I saw your tweet about, do you have a TV in the home and, how do you watch TV? And I wanted to
There's mine
reply,
right
but
there. That's the
sometimes I
only
get
TV we
timid.
have in the house right
I feel
there.
like, oh, I won't say too much, but I did want to, I think I will go back and reply on that tweet because it is a really important point. I mean, I personally do not watch TV. I let people tell me what they're watching on TV, and that's how I hear about things.
Hmm.
So even like the TV show Stranger Things, I have just listened to people talking about it. It's all different age groups, all different backgrounds. Everywhere I go, people have been loving the Stranger Things show.
Mhm.
I've never seen it.
Well,
And
that's one of the
same
movies we
with
use
like
for our
Game of
movie night.
Thrones. I was never into that show, but people talk about it all the time. And then you get your news that way. But there is, of course, a TV everywhere you go. And what I do watch is YouTube. And the algorithm, sometimes I have to go, check yourself, because the algorithm will put up the videos and
What you
sometimes
want to
it
see,
goes
what it
on
thinks
and
you want to
on and
see.
on.
Yeah, it'll
And
it'll
you're like,
lead you down a rabbit hole because
exactly,
it's showing you things that it thinks that you want to see, and you'll go down a rabbit hole, and it's hard to decipher real information from disinformation. I
it is
mean, anybody who says they got a grasp on that is to
right.
an extent they may have it, but they don't have it down to 100%. Knowing what's going on. It is so right
Yeah,
now.
it's immersive. We're
Yeah,
immersed
yeah, and
in
it's
it.
too much information. I hate to say it, but it's just too much information sometimes to even to motherfucking
Hmm.
process. Pardon me, to process.
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
okay.
So
Right. So true. And another thing, someone on your Twitter thread, they said, well, what about the stars and everything? And I have made a habit to wake up and the first thing is go outside and look at the stars.
mhm,
Because when I had lived abroad, there was heavy pollution cover on the skies. So I did not see the stars where I used to live. And
mhm.
even though it's been a long time home, I still, when I see Orion, and all the constellations around, I think it's amazing. I can see the
Yeah. Some yeah,
stars.
some nights when the moon isn't out, if we got
Yeah.
a new moon and it's, no moon defiltering the stars, I mean diffusing the stars,
Hmm.
it gets pretty dark out here where I'm at. I mean, you can look up, and now in the city, you don't see the stars too much,
Right.
especially when the moon is shining. And
Mm.
even out here, if the moon is shining, you can see them, but you're right. Certain nights when there's no moon, you get out, look up, and honestly, if you want to find something trippy, this is really trippy here, man. Lay
What?
on your back and look up at the stars. You can almost see the spin of
No way.
of the planet. You
Wow.
can almost. I mean, I don't. It's hard to describe, but as you're looking up, you can almost feel. It could be psychosomatic or whatever, but it does feel and look like you could see the slow spin of this planet. You
Oh,
know.
how beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to ask the artist Corpy about that. She's up north, in Finland. So, wow, amazing. Well, I will try that next. So I'll have to confirm it with the neighborhood association.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
I'm thinking about joining mine. We're a member short.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it, man. I need this shed out there, and if I
Mm-hmm.
if I definitely get on board, I definitely get the shed, that I want. If
Mm-hmm.
it's oversized, and HOA gonna have something to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right. Get those dimensions set.
yeah,
Well, lovely. Well, Jimmy, thank you. And
no
I'll
problem.
look forward to, maybe we could do a live stream next. I know also I have a friend, Sylvain
Hmm.
Cloutier.
Hmm.
And then also there's Nightmare K-Hawk, who's a big Monero fan. I don't know if we could all do a big stream together. That might be super cool, but we'd have
Yeah.
to think of topics or, coordinate it all. And
Yeah,
maybe we could invite
we should see if we can get a
bits.
few more BSVers in the group also, to where some people, where we could not really have a dialogue, but just when I mean not a confrontational dialogue on beliefs and systems and things of that
Exactly.
nature.
Not a
But
debate.
yeah, no spaces type of
Exactly.
thing to that, because that gets
Mhm.
some of the people on there, it's
I know.
you shouldn't
Some
have
of
that
them,
type
I
of
think
anger.
they're just there to talk crazy sometimes.
Yeah, you shouldn't have that type
I'm
of
like,
anger
well,
going
let
in
me go in the
going
other
into
room.
life, man. Life is too short to be that angry and that
Hmm.
toxic. I guess that's the right word to say.
Right.
But yeah, I would love to revisit this, man. I
Great.
enjoyed it. It seemed to go by an hour and a half when I saw from the 10 to 11. I said, damn, what are we going to talk about? for an hour and a half, but I ain't
I
shut
know.
up since I got
And
here.
we didn't even get to the gaming.
Yeah, exactly. You never even touched that. But
I know it. I would love to.
yeah, but I had fun.
Super. Well, just here while we're there, I would just like to say, if to all our BSV friends out there and beyond, please remember to like this channel, Rory Zimmerman, Be in the Moment with Sir Jimmie
Yes.
at Jimmie Bitcoin on Twitter. And remember to subscribe
Oh
to
man, that's so
my
cool.
YouTube
Yeah,
channel. We got props, okay?
yeah, yeah.
And also check out Real World BSV podcasts. You can follow at Kitty Treats on Twitter to learn more from Ray and Jay on the BSV podcasts, Real World podcasts. So I know they're currently looking for really excellent content developers to be creative and to post their content there. And you can pay a little bit, like a microtransaction, or even a big amount, like 15 cents per episode worth of BSV. And so definitely check them out and try to become a creator. Reach out to Jay and Ray.
Cool.
So thank you, Sir Jimmie, and thank you,
Thank you, Rory,
world.
for having me. I appreciate you. It's
My
all love.
pleasure.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
See you later. Enjoy
All right.
this gorgeous day in
It's
Atlanta.
still, yeah, we still overcast, man. We
Are
still,
you?
yeah,
Okay.
it's still
Well,
overcast.
listen, I'm sending you this
Yeah, send me the
sunshine is
wave.
coming out to west side.
Swoosh. How's it go? Swoosh. Yeah. All right. Thanks a
Yes.
lot, Rory.
Thanks.
Enjoy
See
the
you
rest of the day.
later.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.